Welcome back to TheFacts World. Today, we're diving into a controversial yet fascinating topic, the top 30 most hated countries in the world. From political controversies to social conflicts, these nations have unfortunately earned a reputation for stirring up negative sentiments among people worldwide. Join me as we explore the reasons behind their infamous rankings and uncover the stories that have shaped their perception. Let's get started. Number 30. Vatican City. Many people criticize the Vatican for interfering with the growth of LGBTQ rights and asked government authorities to disregard its involvement. According to the Vatican's website, the Roman Catholic Church believes homosexual actions to be intrinsically immoral and contrary to natural law, and homosexual tendencies to be objectively disordered. Number 29. Indonesia. Indonesia is located in Southeast Asia and is noted for constantly taking a neutral political route from the Cold War to the trade war between the US and China. Nonetheless, Widya feels that various nations dislike Indonesia because of the war, its economy, and even its participation in the West Papua issue. Number 28. Mexico. It is widely known that the US has a love-hate relationship with Mexico. One notable scenario during the 2016 campaign trail was when Donald Trump stated that Mexico has a lot of issues, and they're bringing those problems with them. Like drugs and crime, they even rape people, Trump added. Number 27. Romania. Nikolai and Slavic claimed that although formal slavery and servitude are no longer practiced in Romania, equally powerful forces continue to seek to perpetuate sentiments of inferiority and shame, which makes prosperous Roma less likely to acknowledge or speak about their racial heritage. The contemporary democracy in Romania is seeing an increase in racism and hate speech. Number 26. Algeria. Even Algerians themselves hate their country. Algerians are increasingly attempting to flee illegally in search of a better life overseas, which includes the burning of identity documents by 2022. 13,000 people have arrived in Spain on flimsy boats. Number 25. Australia. Due to its racial inequalities and prejudice, Australia is the target of hatred. The government, the media, and civil society in Australia were all urged by the United Nations Human Rights expert on contemporary forms of racism to speak out against the alarming hate speech and racial discrimination taking place in the nation, especially against Muslims, refugees, and immigrants. Number 24. Argentina. Acoca states that the Argentines' haughtiness and arrogance are a continual source of conflict with the rest of Latin America on issues of race, politics, and economy. Any claim that Argentina belongs to the third world is firmly rejected by the locals. They see their nation as a future world power, with sway over not just Latin America, but also the rest of the globe. Number 23. Qatar. When Qatar was announced as the 2020 FIFA World Cup host nation, not everyone was thrilled. The rights of migrant workers, LGBT rights, and even Qatar's prohibition on alcohol at sporting events have all been the subject of vehement criticism from Western media sources. Number 22. Somalia. Human rights violations may be to blame for the ill will towards Somalia. The UN Human Rights Council has already extended its demands on Somalia's freedom of expression, racism, and racial discrimination. Number 21. Italy. The concept of Milan as a city that never ceases clashes with the idea of a city weary of itself and its own rhythms. It waffles between the legacy of the Expo and the goals of the Olympics and gets lost between violence, gentrification that is happening gradually, integration issues, and the illusion of the minimum wage. Number 20. England. whether it be on a sports level as a friendly fan rivalry, or for far deeper reasons that are rooted in the history of the British Isles, Ireland, Scotland, and Wales all have a deep-seated dislike for England. Paul Routledge, a political commentator, argues that other countries despise England because they invented everything from football, rugby, trains, the Concorde, fish and chips, the bicycle, Greenwich Mean Time, and not to mention the zebra crossing, which has saved millions of lives. Number 19. Philippines. Many tourists avoid the Philippines because they believe it is a dangerous place. True. There are several parts of the nation that even most Filipinos fear visiting, such as the extreme southern provinces of Mindanao. Due to frequent terrorist occurrences, however, the country is not nearly as horrible as the foreign media portrays it to be. Number 18. Afghanistan. Afghanistan is an Islamic state, and Afghanistan is being called the graveyard of empires, because many empires tried to conquer it, but nobody ever succeeded. Between 1839 and 1842, British imperial forces tried to invade Afghanistan, but it all went against them and they suffered one of the worst military loss. In 1979, Soviet Union invaded Afghanistan, but they couldn't succeed and they also suffered much loss. All countries and Western always spread fear and hate about Afghanistan and tried to conquer, but fact is they never succeed. Number 17. South Korea. South Korea is propelled by aggressive misogyny and misplaced worship of ostensibly meritocratic rule. Young Korean males are ushering in a frightening new chapter in South Korea's conservative politics. Number 16. Turkey. Turkish society's refusal to embrace fundamental changes and adhere to obsolete attitudes and gender norms drives toxic masculinity and supports assaults on women in politics, particularly on social media. Strolan believes that an attempt to prevent members of a minority group from enjoying their rights is motivated by hate politics. Number 15. Nigeria. An article titled, "Why Does the Black World Hate Nigerians?" It was mentioned that being a Nigerian on the African continent entails being shunned by family, society, or both. Number 14. Germany. Germany, according to Nandi, is a racist country. That doesn't imply that everyone in Germany is a Nazi, but it does suggest that many Germans, if not the majority, are casually prejudiced. The army, police, schools, and to a lesser extent, the healthcare system, as well as the political system, are all institutionally racist. Number 13. Saudi Arabia. Human rights are often violated in Saudi Arabia based on Amnesty.org. The government singled out people in 2022 for peacefully expressing their right to free speech and association. Number 12. Japan. Although political freedoms and civil liberties are usually upheld in Japan, racial and gender discrimination, as well as allegations of overly tight relationships between the government and the private sector are among the country's outstanding problems. Number 11. United Kingdom. The terrible fact is that Britons have little or no comprehension of other people. As a result, they believe that striking up a conversation with a stranger will lead to an 8-hour footnoted dissertation about York Castle or something, which nobody wants on their way home from work. Based on one article, here's what the rest of the world hates about Britain. Britons are said to be rude. Number 10. India. When asked why white people despise Indians, Mandis said that most minorities across the world are marginalized as a result of the repercussions of colonization, which is the imposition of power over a group of land occupants. The Indian subcontinent remained directly under British administration or the British Raj from 1858 until India and Pakistan gained independence in 1947. Number 9. Syria. Syria remains unsafe. While many Syrian refugees wish to flee the dehumanizing conditions of camps and return to their homes, the majority of them are just not safe to do so. Some people's homes, towns, and cities have been devastated, and they have nowhere to go, according to a recent poll. 75% of Syrian refugees want to return home. Nevertheless, only over 30,000 of the 5.5 million refugees returned in 2020. Number 8. Iraq. According to World Report 2023, in 2022, the Iraqi government, under former Prime Minister Mustafa al-Kadhimi, struggled to meet important protester demands, which resulted in what the UNDP described as a further breach of the social contract between rulers and the ruled. Number 7. Iran. Violent conflicts have occasionally erupted within Iran, with demonstrators torching security force installations. Following the murder of Mahsa Amini on September 16th, Iran experienced its largest protests in years. The country's morality police, responsible for enforcing tight clothing and behavior regulations, had detained the 22-year-old for reportedly not wearing her hijab properly and wearing skinny jeans. Number 6. Pakistan. According to activists and members of minority communities, Pakistan's culture of impunity, along with governmental inactivity, is encouraging an increase in hate crimes and blasphemy claims. Number 5. North Korea. As stated by Shin, North Korea often responds to criticism of its human rights record with hostile language. Some say that North Korea's minimal human rights commitments are really political ploys to distract attention. Number 4. Russia. Russia is viewed as an opponent or rival of the United States, the European Union, and the United Kingdom, but as an ally or vital partner by those in India, China, and Turkey. Despite its clearly imperial invasion of Ukraine and the necessity to characterize it as such, Russia's relentless rhetoric about Western attempts to split it apart and the necessity for multipolar alternatives to US-led hegemony has resonance among other nations. Number 3. China. China is being hated by many countries. Some countries hate because of Taiwan conflict, and some Asian countries hate because China is becoming boss of the continent, also opponent of USA. So all USA allies and USA hate China. Number 2. United States of America. Swan stated that the history of American military adventures and covert influence in other nations' political systems provides a more convincing explanation for why so many people despise America. Nevertheless, the history of US government foreign intervention predates the 21st century and goes well beyond contentious figures. In actuality, the United States and its Central Intelligence Agency CIA have overthrown several democracies that were backed by the general populace. Number 1. Israel. Israel is the state which was established by occupying lands of Palestinians. This is what most of the people believe. Israelis came to Palestine as refugees for help to hide from Hitler's brutality, but after some time they started occupying lands of their hosts. Also, people hate Israel because of Israel and Palestine conflict, especially last invasion of Israel in Palestine reportedly. More than 13,000 children has been shot in past few weeks and month by Israeli forces.